We got the dual. Seemed to work okay last time, but it's hard to say because first time I lost internet and the second time my computer crashed. So and other people too were having a hard problem or having a hard time. They had problems with technology. So I don't know if it was just a bad night for technology or if it was a bad night for me because of what I was trying to do. I was streaming on both YouTube and Twitter. But today we're going to have something a little bit slower paced. It may not be as demanding on resources. This is objects generation for Shimmerpool. We're going to continue with this. This is a reimagined version of Karg. It's basically the same, except we're giving it multiple biomes and we're improving some various features. But it's essentially made completely from scratch with the latest land generation and object generation technology. So it'll be slightly improved, and I'm looking forward to releasing it and adapting it to all of the different biomes that we've got. This particular biome that we have happens to be Mongolia during the winter, like a light winter, maybe late fall or spring is what it seems to remind me of, because it's a cold desert. And Mongolia is a desert, but it is also cold. And it's not nearly this wooded, I don't think. But no matter. We'll continue with the objects generation. So we do our objects differently from most people. We put all of it in this spreadsheet, and then I have a computer program that reads this spreadsheet and interprets the data, and then it writes that information to the script. It's actually much more efficient. You can do some way more complex things. For instance, you probably could not do mountains like these or these. You probably could not do that with traditional scripting methods. I guess theoretically you could, because in the end it's reading from a script file just like anything else, but it would take forever. Nobody would do this, and therefore pretty much nobody has. So we're going to add next. We basically just finished adding the predators. The predators are in this outermost ring. They're placed on a specific terrain type. And their whole deal is that they are told to avoid the player starting areas by a certain amount. And these predators, and of course we can't just assign them to this position or this position because we don't know the orientation of this oasis. It could be oriented this way, or it could be oriented 90 degrees rotated from this. So we don't know if the forest is actually going to be over here instead. So now I'm hitting generate here. It should rotate it, unless we only wrote one possibility here. I guess that could have happened. But in theory, the map will have forests that could extend from here to here, with here and here being the lakes. So these predators are important because they will prevent players from getting, yeah, there we go. So you can see a 90 degree rotation is in order. And these predators are right here. They are just ignoring, these snow leopards are ignoring the ibex, and they are only interested in attacking villagers that come up this way. So you have to be careful, because if you come up this way and these predators see you, then they will attack your villagers, and you could lose a villager if you try to wall this off here. So it may not be worth it. So I expect most players will not even try sending a villager this way, and you'd have to send multiple villagers, and it would just be a huge commitment. So I'm not worried about the map being campy. That, and sometimes the oasis is frozen over in the center, or the shimmering pool, I should say, so you could just walk across the shortest path. We had some neutral huntable animals, and now we're going to put the neutral golds in. The neutral golds are just going to be on this basic desert terrain here. There isn't going to be anything too special about them, except that we need to make sure that both sides get the same number of golds, because that's pretty important, right? Nobody's going to go in and count all of these little individual stones. And even if they did, you know, what's the difference of one stone pile out of 20? But for golds, people will care a lot more about that. So let's see if we can get a good setup here. So we're going to place the neutral gold now. We'll drag that down, and we will copy this over. Copy all of this formatting over, if you will. And this gold, I'm going to call it as such. It's gold. It is going to be neutral Gaia convertible. That's fine. You can't convert gold anyway, so you don't have to set it to be unconvertible. There are going to be 2 gold piles, or tiles of gold, per clump, or per pile. But we're going to have tight grouping on this gold. And we're also going to have a limited group quantity. So we need to keep closer track of this. So I think that we'll just put 2 in here for now. But we could scale it to the map size. The terrain type that we're going to put the gold on is the base terrain. And we're going to put it on a special layer too. You see, this base terrain actually has a secret mask over it. Now, I don't know how secret it is, but it's got this dead forest mask over it. And that's what we need to put the gold on. And we'll do that for each side so that we know that both players have the same number of golds on each of their sides. Because eventually players are going to be able to wall this up. So we need to make sure that they have the same amount of gold. So to do that, we are going to have to open up our actual icky script file and go in and change stuff directly. I'm opening this up because I want the reference. It's not like we're actually going to change anything in the script file, but I want to see what I called that masking terrain here, so I make sure that I get it right. Okay. So we are down here in light winter season for the desert biome, and we have base terrain, and we have base mask 1 and base mask 2. Aha! Okay. So, what are those? I don't know. I don't know what those are. So, not to worry. We will bring up a reference, and we will look at these terrains just to refresh our memory about what on earth we were doing. So, let's see. One of them was 72 and the other was 106. I believe, if I remember correctly, that one of these is just the standard like forest floor terrain. 72 is underbrush snow. Yes, exactly. But it's used by snowy forest terrains, but it is not actually the snowy forest terrain itself. And then the other one, the 106 DLC Forest Dead, is the snowy forest terrain. So if you mask by both of these, they have the same appearance. You can't put tree objects down by masking with this. However, it will have the same appearance. So, for this gold, we need base mask 1 and base mask 2, and we need to put that in here. So, the layer is going to be base mask 1, and give it a forest distance of 2, that's fine, maybe, or maybe more than that, maybe like 4. We don't want to give it too much of a forest distance because we've got a lot of trees. So if we give it too much of a forest distance, then that's too many little mini tree actor areas and it just slows everything down. So we'll give it a distance of 4. And what else do we need to say? We need to tell it to avoid player starting areas. So whatever's in row 5, which is the player town centers, right? Scroll back and we see that in row 5, the town center is located. So these are neutral golds, so they need to avoid player town centers, and we're going to have them avoid player town centers by 32 tiles. And we're going to make that pretty standard, so we're not going to have any kind of fancy scaling there or anything like that. Don't want that. Override find closest and force placement, we're just going to say no and no. Okay, and then we will copy that down, and we will do another one. We will copy this, and then we will paste this here. and its base terrain is going to be base mask 2. So even though you can't see it, that base terrain has actually 2 different maskings on it. The base mask 1 is on one side and the base mask 2 is on the other. Group quantity is 2 here. Tent min distance group placement of 8. I'm going to bump this up to 24. And we'll see how that goes. We might adjust these parameters later, but for now, let's just let's run that and see how it works. Oops. We got our code here. Let's go and grab that function. There we go. Copy this and paste it right here. Okay, so that's going to think for just a sec, and then it will say writing to file when it's done. So we'll have 2 on this side and 2 on this other side. And I was thinking about making a variation on this map, maybe one of the biomes, maybe the Asian biome, where instead of placing gold, you're actually getting stone. Oh, we should increase our resource delta here. We should make it so those gold piles have lots of gold in them, instead of more than just 2 tiles. But I was thinking about doing a biome where these would be stone instead, and the resources in the corners would be gold. Let me know what you think about that idea. This is all set. And we'll hit generate. We should confirm the same number of gold piles on either side. So here's 1. And where's the other? Here's the other right here. So I think we can fit a few more. I think I'd like to fit 1 more in here. Yeah, we got 2. They have to avoid the town center by quite a bit, and they also have to avoid each other by quite a bit. So I think that we will give 1 more, essentially, and then we'll be good on that. And of course, we'll give them resource delta as well, so they've got extra gold here. Okay, let's do that. Unfortunately, every time that we run it, it closes our spreadsheet, so we have to reopen it, but it's pretty fast to reopen, so that's fine. So let us increase the number of groups to 3 and decrease the tent min distance group placement to, say, 18, and then we will give them a resource delta. By default, gold has 800, so 2 of them is 1600. I think if we gave them a resource delta of 1200 so that each pile was like 4,000 gold, I think that would be fine. So let's give them resource delta of 1200 so that each pile is worth 2,000. We can actually see what was done for the previous map, but I'm not that worried about it right now. So insert rows above. So after we've completed the placement of this gold, we will put in player-assigned resources. Pretty sure that's the only thing that we have left. Oh, we do have to put the thematically appropriate bird here. So for this case, it's probably just going to be a hawk. I think you had hawks in the Genghis Khan campaign. And hawks are pretty rugged birds. They can live pretty much anywhere, I think. They're birds of prey. As long as there are little animals for hawks to eat, then hawks are happy. Maybe the hawks live up in the mountains somewhere. Who knows? I like to think of these little stories when I'm making maps, you know? It's kind of fun to think about all the different worlds that you can create. Everybody likes to talk about all the high-level stuff and all the amazing mangonel micro and But sometimes it's nice just to think about that hawk that's living in a mountain in this little virtual world you've built. You know, just a little hawk living up here. Okay, so that's all written. Let's keep this same seed and let's confirm that we have 3 on each side. And that should be good for our neutral golds. Again, these are neutral resources. They are not player assigned. So we have 1 here. And this one's being guarded by the snow leopards. That's fine, though. We have 1 here, and then we have 1 over here. So even with extreme difficulty, I don't think these snow leopards could see that gold. These snow leopards will. But I don't think it's that unfair. Yeah. So 3 on either side, that's good. And do I dare do the giant map size? I guess I do. Let's do the giant map size with the 8 players. And we'll try to count them all up and see what happens. I have a feeling I'm going to regret this. But I think it's important. It's instead of just waving the hand and saying, it'll be fine. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have I lost count yet? Nah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It looks approximately equal. I don't really care. I could maybe potentially fix it later. The only complication is, you know, when you have more of these straggler trees actually, and you give them forest avoidance of 4, they also avoid these stragglers. So maybe it's better to put the stragglers. Maybe it's better to put these stragglers down after the golds. There's not really any reason the golds have to come after the stragglers at all. But we'll leave it for now. I'm okay with it for now. It's fine. It looks about right. Ooh. A little snow leopard here sneaking in between the players, though. I don't like that. It is the giant map size, after all. But we still need snow leopards in the corners here to guard the corners. But this snow leopard, dastardly little snow leopard, sneaking in between. So maybe we let's relaunch the spreadsheet and let's give that snow leopard a little bit more avoidance, but really not much. Am I going to go back and check him? Not right now. But we'll come in here and we'll maybe put like 0.75. So it scales and it's slightly larger avoidance in that case. We really want the snow leopards to... And, you know, he really was just barely there, too. Let's do like 0.725. Yeah, let's do that. He was really just barely there. Okay. I think we're ready for the player-assigned resources now. I'm getting very excited to finish this map. So rows above. Just trying to think, do we need anything other than player-assigned resources? Oh, you know, we could put generic eye candy out here, and the forest in the middle needs eye candy too. So I guess we'll have to do that. Yeah, that'll be fine. So we'll just keep working on it. I think we're going to do the eye candy for the Oasis first, so that we can kind of keep the player assigned things all in one place. So let's see what our definitions are, if we've defined them already, in fact. Let's see, Oasis object definitions. No, we have not. So that would go right here, though. And we could go, it's eye candy Oasis Eye Candy one, or maybe I called them Eye Candy EC. So we're gonna have Oasis EC1, I guess, and so on and so forth. I'm not sure how many of these we'll need. So Eye Candy 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. We had quite a few eye candies for the Ridge, so I think we go up to 12 again, honestly. Although I doubt that we're going to use all of these. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We got to think of all the different plants that we could possibly want. So let's open up the old Karga spreadsheet here and see what we have available. So here's some decoration type things that we had from Karga. So there's the potential for temple ruins, but this wouldn't really be on the oasis itself. This could be more in the outlying area. I don't know if we call that part of the oasis or not. Similar thing with the Roman ruins. Or maybe they only occur on one specific terrain type. That is also possible. Statue column. So specifically we have these fern patches, flower beds, grass patch green. So a lot of these are plants and such that I think we want. And we have this for the desert terrain. Oh, we got to put herdables down on the desert. That's right. We have to put herdables down on the base terrain. So we'll try not to forget that. Okay. Looks like we did have rhinos originally, but I don't know. Actually, yeah, we will have boars for player assigned. We'll have player assigned boars, but we won't have neutral boars, I don't think. Not unless it's the nomad version. I think that's what we did last time. But we've got all of these here. These are all they're on different types of terrain too, which is somewhat complicated. But we can sort through that, and we will. Let's copy this for now. And we will paste that. Actually, we don't really want to copy it, do we? I guess we kind of do. No, we don't want to copy it. So we'll pull this up over here. Put this on the left-hand side. All right, so these are the actual definitions. And the big thing that we want to do is we want to count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 things here. So I think 12 would cover it. Because it'll give us a few extra to work with. And it's sort of crazy to think that we're going to have 12 items on each of the rings, too. Like each ring is eligible for that. That's sort of crazy. We may want to break that up a little bit. I'm thinking about it. All right, so we are going to give, let's see what I guess what do we want here is the big question. I think we always want the temple ruins, and we always want the Roman ruins, and we always want the statue column. That's kind of a signature of the map, and it's fun. Now, what terrain are those on? They're all on dirt terrain, so they're all kind of on the outermost ring. So we really should specify the different rings, I think. Yeah, let's do that. So we got, what is it? Our ring terrain, RT1, EC1. So I guess we do RT1, EC1, RT1, EC2. And we'll do, let's see, what have we got? 6 here is kind of our maximum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So that's what we do. We go up to 6, and we put them on different terrains. And we basically just say RT1 eye candy 3, RT1 eye candy 4, RT1 eye candy 5, RT1 eye candy 6. Okay. And this is just going to be on the first ring. So we'll have maybe some general definitions here. Innermost ring. This is going to be the second innermost ring. This is going to be second outermost. Three, 3, 3, 3, and 3. And this is going to be the outermost ring. I knew that doing this eye candy wouldn't be easy, but it's so worth it. Okay, and then we need base terrain eye candy as well. So we'll paste this here and we'll say base terrain. We pretty much just have to organize it. It doesn't really, matter exactly what it's called right now. Base terrain eye candy definitions. We just have to know about the different options that are available to us. So we got Oasis. This is the outermost ring. These need to be RT4. So each ring terrain has 6 different eye candies that could be associated with it. All right, and then this is BT. Okay, good. So do we want any of these? Well, remember that we are working with a desert type biome. So for the innermost ring, what did we give? We give the other stuff here. We gave it fern patches and flower beds, and I don't know that I want either one because it's too cold. It's too cold. I guess we could, I don't know, we might be able to have like rocks, but I don't really want too many rocks in the center. So I think maybe we just do grass patch dry throughout. And it's not going to really be that lush or concentrated. I'm just looking these over. I'm like, nah, that's not going to look good in snow. That's not going to look good in snow. I mean, the bush green, maybe, but plant jungle, no. Um, it's not going to look good. That simple. Um, yeah. DLC Rhino, DLC Ibex. So maybe we have plant dead. Let's bring up the advanced genie editor. I think we can get rid of this at this point. We don't need this anymore. Maximize this again. Save it, because we're going to need to define all of that. Advanced Genie Editor. Choose Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. We'll open that up. It'll load all that information. And we do like plant. Oops, plant. So bush dry, shrub dry, and dead, I think. And that's pretty much going to be what we have here. And because it's a desert, I don't think we need too many of them. Maybe we do them at half the concentration from normal. So we have these definitions, and basically what I'm just going to do is I'm going to copy a placeholder from before with all that information, and I'm just going to give these names to each, and we're gonna do all of this eye candy at once. So let's get started. We'll take the information that we have about the predator. We'll copy that. We'll paste it. Oops. We'll paste it here. Except we'll put this back to 78 because we don't want to change the numbers here. We'll get rid of the name for now. The object quantity is, we're going to get rid of this. The plants we can allow to be convertible. Sure, why not? Plants aren't convertible anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. The terrain, we're going to get rid of that there. Force distance we'll get rid of. Temp min distance group placement, very important. We'll leave that at 5. And we will have them avoid, we'll have them avoid the player starting area. We'll have them avoid by something like 6, perhaps 6 or 8. We'll get rid of that scaling factor. I don't know that we're going to go too crazy with these actor areas. I know we sort of did with the deer, all the different types of deer and everything. But remember, these are just eye candies. They're not important resources. So as long as we have a decently sized spacing between them, I think that's really what counts. And we're going to copy this. This is going to be the innermost ring. And I think a lot of these are going to be invisible placeholders. Just because we don't have anything to put there. It's barren during the winter. There's not a lot of stuff going on. All right, so we need to format that to Liberation Sands. And we need it to be the same size, which it is. And we're going to format it to be in the center here so we can read it a little bit easier. Okay, RT1, EC1 looks good. And this needs to be placed on RT1, which is ring terrain 1. The spacing between them is going to be 8. Then we will copy this, and we will paste this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, and we'll delete the names. And we will click and drag and see what happens here. Oh, it could not figure out how to sequence them. That's okay. We'll sequence them here. Whoops. We want C3, C4, C5, and C6. And I think we could actually put ice in here too, like things that we wouldn't normally think about putting for Karga. We can put that in here. So we can put little bits of ice, I think. And I do want to try it just for this first, to see how we work with it. Although the fact that stuff isn't defined over here is probably going to cause a problem. So let's make sure that we come in here and we say 647. We're going to do that forever, basically. 647 is an invisible placeholder. It doesn't affect anything, so we can't really have any harm from having it here. And then we'll replace this number as we need it with something that will is actually visible and interactable and such. Well, maybe not interactable, but something that will actually look like something, because this doesn't look like anything. And we're just going to paste this in here a little bit more. Okay, let's save that. And then these are the ones that we're actually going to define. So let's see, we had some ideas, right? We're going to do plant bush dry 1361, 1361, and what else? We got more choices here. We're going to do shrub dry 1363, and then I'm pretty sure that we've got more options than that. Plant dead is 1365, and then there should be grass, maybe some type of grass. Let's try typing in grass. Yes, grass patch dry. It looks like there are actually 2 of them. So which one do we want more? I guess we could theoretically have both. We could have 1033 and 1359. 1359. Yes, and then the last one is we're going to have just chunks of ice hanging around. 728. Okay, so this is just an experiment to make sure that we set everything up right for this innermost ring with the eye candy defined. We haven't done anything with the eye candy actor areas or anything like that. We're just going to let it spontaneously go. The only requirement is that it not be too close to player starting town centers. We're assuming that player starting town centers are kind of packed down and people trampled all the plants there at this point in time. And it makes it a little bit easier for the players to uptake the information when they're just starting out. So we will save that. And we will run it. We'll see if we get those little pretty plants everywhere. They're only spaced 8 apart though, so it might be pretty dense. We'll see. We'll try to space them out more appropriately. It's processing, it's thinking. My big regret is that as this program grows, the objects placement program, it probably becomes less efficient. We hit generate, and let's go and take a look. Aha! So you can see that we've got some grass here. We've got a couple of plants next to each other. We've got an ice flow here. Got some more grass. Some more grass we have. I don't know, guys. I think that looks pretty good. I don't think we really need to do much with it, actually. I thought it would be a little bit too dense, but it seems like it's reasonable, actually. And I think that we can continue this for all of the rings. I don't think these rings are going to have anything, there's not going to be too big of a difference between them. There might be less ice out here. Maybe we replace these bigger grass patches with little ice. But, I mean, even this looks like it could be appropriate. Fits right in with the cattails. So, let's, in terms of our spreadsheet, let's get the rest of our items fleshed out. Yes, here we go. Ring terrain 1, eye candy. All right, and then we will copy these along. We need to revise these to ring terrain 2. 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 We got 4 ring terrains. And I think that we are basically done with all of this. I don't think we need any of this. But nevertheless, we will insert rows above and we will just keep it there. Why not? It's not hurting anything. The only thing that's hurting is the fact that we have to go in and tell it to go away for a little while as we add to the spreadsheet. Yeah, look at all of that. Wouldn't it be nice if we had some shading in here to help us tell the difference? I think we sort of did that up here for different terrain types and for the trees. So let's do that. To 6. And we will shade this in. Okay. And this is 2, and let's change this to 3. And this is 4. And this is BT. Okay. Okay, very good. Now we need to update these terrains. Terrain 2, RT2, 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 RT2. I wonder if we clicked and dragged this down, if it would be smart enough. No, it is not. Well, that's unfortunate. Oh well. So we'll just put 3s here. We'll just put some 3s here. Four. This stuff is placed on the base terrain. Actually, we'll just copy this and... Okay. All right, very good. So now we'll drag this down. So we got all of that. They don't bring any actor areas with them, except avoidance to... Although, technically, you know, these don't need to avoid the player town center because they're not on the correct terrain type anyway. So I think that we get rid of these, actually. Because in the first 2 rings, it's never going to be anywhere close. The only consideration is going to be maybe these 3. All right, and then we'll save. And this is all going to be one actor area, by the way, that they'll all be avoiding. Okay. Let us update and see how we do with that. It should run successfully, and when it does, oh, that's going to be it exactly. Nothing will happen. So, but the placeholder objects will still be there. They'll just be invisible. So we can change them out, but we just got to run it first to make sure that we did that all correctly. Okay, it's all set. So when we hit run, nothing should happen. It should look the same as it did before. But we can go in and adjust the numbers. And it should then work properly, or it should produce the effect we're looking for. Yep. That looks about right. Okay, so let's see. These were bushes, I believe. This was ice. The Advanced Genie editor up here. Yeah, that's ice. And grass. So the last 2 were grass, and then the other ones were plants. So as we move out, we're probably going to get more grass, fewer plants, I think. So maybe we do 1361. 1363. 1365. 1033 and 1359. And then we'll leave the invisible placeholder there because we don't really want to pull the ice out. Let's take a look and see how it looks. Because it is mud, right? This is a mud terrain, so ice does make sense. Remember, we haven't needed to update the spreadsheet because those objects are already written there. They're just invisible for now. They're on a specific terrain type. Yeah, look at that. Looks good. And I think the ice looks fine as well. Just got some bushes and some grasses out here. But I don't think we want as much green moving out. There's the occasional bit of green here. But as we move out, we're going to have fewer and fewer of those. It's a grass patch here, because there could be some sheltered areas in between these trees. And of course, there's no avoidance to the player town center because we haven't needed to apply it. Let's keep moving out. So these were exactly the same. So the second outermost ring, we're going to have 1361, 1363, 1365, 1033. I think we're going to do 1359, and then we're going to do 1359 again. So it's going to be more grassy in this case. It's going to be more grassy, and it's not going to have as many ice chunks. Yeah. I think that looks pretty good. I mean, parts of me wishes that they avoided each other a little bit better, but I think it'll be okay. I don't really think it's worth the actor areas to like set it up so that it's perfect. All right, now we are going to go to the next layer out. And I think we start to get rid of the bushes here, and we basically just have 1033s and 1359s. 1033, 1033, 1359, 1359. And then it would be fun to have some columns or some ruins here. I'm interested to see how they look. But the problem with these is that they need to come in larger groups, so that groups larger than one. So I think we'll just leave the last two as invisible placeholders, and we'll do the ruins separately. We'll have a separate object command for the ruins. And it'll just be one more thing, but it'll be worth it. It'll be a nice one more thing. Let's see how this is. Just thinking about it. There we go. Okay, so we got these grass patches here. And they are kind of on top of each other, aren't they? in some cases. They almost might be a little bit too large. But they do properly avoid the town centers, which is good. And they do have snow underneath them. So they're not bad. Well, maybe if it gets out of control, we can deal with it later. But it's important that these bushes not look like they're just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. That there are intermediate plants in between. Yeah, it'll be fine. Okay, and then we actually could increase the spacing for this particular terrain type between these if it looks a little bit heavy. We'd have to go back into the objects to do that, but we absolutely could do that. All right, and then we're just going to do maybe two 1359s. And the rest are going to be 1033s out here on the base terrain. Because there's a lot of room out here. This is going to be somewhat dense. Let's see how we look with this one. I don't know. It might be too thick. We'll see. It probably will be. That'd be my guess. Yeah, that's too thick. That's too thick, and I think they shouldn't impinge on each other so much. I guess you can still see the gold. Let's try decreasing the density first. Nah, who am I kidding? That's not going to solve the problem. All right, let's go into that spreadsheet and let's solve the problem then. But it looks good. Like the object itself is appropriate and it's necessary. Otherwise, it just looks weird. So we're going to bump these up to 12. And we are going to have this one avoid whatever came before it. Let's make sure that we don't get confused. Whatever came before it, we'll have it avoid by 6. So we have 8, 6. And we'll copy this and paste it here, and then we'll go from 106 to 107. A107, F4, 8, 6, 6, and so on and so forth. So we'll drag that down. So we'll go up to 108, 109, 110. Okay. Have them all avoid each other by 6, which is half the temp min distance group placement. That might be a little bit excessive, but we'll see. Are there any other changes that we wish to make here? Is our dirt 4 too cluttered? If it is, now is the time to speak out. and do something about it. What do you got? What have we got here for the dirt 4? They're spaced 8 apart. And what are their eye candies? So they're mostly 1033s and 1359s. We could space them 4 apart for good measure. I think that'd be the right thing to do. The objects are big enough and plentiful enough and similar enough that I think it's noticeable in their current configuration. So we will have this avoid whatever's above it. And we'll have it avoid that by 4. Half its temp min distance group placement. Copy that and paste it here, and we'll have go to A101, A101, and we'll reference that properly. And we will 4, and then copy this and then paste that there, and this is going to be 102. And this is going to be comma 4. Copy this, paste that there. It's going to go up to 103. And okay, and then we need one more 4 here. I think this should look a lot better. Don't like using this many actor areas, but I don't think it'll hurt very much. And we want to make sure that stuff isn't terribly cluttered. So we'll run the update here, and then in just a minute or two it'll return the result. Okay. We'll keep this seed and we'll run it and we'll see what happens here. Oh yes, that is much better. That is much better indeed. What do you guys think? Too far apart now? I don't think that's too far apart at this point. We might have overdone it here. Yeah, I think I'm going to inch these back together just a little bit. Is there anything else I want to do with the eye candy? There's the potential of doing animal skeletons out here. I'm not sure if I can include that in the eye candy or not, but I will give that a try. And we will see how that goes. So, yeah, actually this is the path. We come up here, and we're going to decrease these spacings. So we're going to decrease these to 8. We're going to reduce these to 4. 4, 4, 4, 4, and 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. 4, 4, and 4. Okay. So let's just update that real quick. If we're putting things like animal skeletons out here on this map, I just want to make sure that these distances are not so small that if we did skeletons, like we'd have the whole thing littered with skeletons. Generally, when you do skeletons, you want them to be like 30 tiles apart or something, so the place doesn't look like a war zone, like the animals just got wrecked. Speaking of which, we actually could put skeletons on this ridge, maybe, next to these trade carts. That would be somewhat disturbing, because it wouldn't just be that somebody tried to cross that ridge, but that they actually died while doing so. The trade cart is a solid object, but the skeletons are not. So it could work pretty well, because you don't have to worry about the skeletons blocking a player from walking out or into the corner. All right, it's written. We'll keep this seed and we'll run it again and we'll see if these grasses get a little bit closer together. I suppose we also have some invisible placeholders in here that are making them look further apart. Yeah, I do like that better. See, this is what I'm going for right here. This is good. The grasses are not avoiding the grasses of other terrains, which is to be expected, but it's a lot more complex to do that. I don't really know that I care enough to have them do that. I don't think it's worth our time, both in setting up and in loading. But we still have the golds out here. Now let's come over and let's take a look and see. So the base terrain eye candy definitions. Okay, so they're all being used up. But let's just try putting one in as an animal skeleton, and let's see if it's too much. If it weren't too much, that would be very convenient. So we'll put skeleton, animal skeleton is 1091. So we're going to go 1091. And let's run it generally. I just hope these animal skeletons aren't spaced like every 6 tiles, so that would be excessive. Where are they? I don't even see them. The other ones have taken over. You know what? I bet it is. I bet the avoidances that we've programmed in are excessive. I bet that's it. We need to sit down and think about that a little bit harder and a little bit longer. So let's do that. So we have a temp min distance group placement for these of 8, and yet we're ordering these to be spaced 4 apart. And we have 6 of these. So really we want these to be, I guess, 20, since 4 times the remaining 5 that they have to avoid is 20. So if there are 5 of them, they're all avoiding by 4, that's 20. So therefore, theoretically, if we gave these spacings of 20, I think that should work. Oops, it's 20. Could give them a little bit more than that. But for the purpose of representing everything fairly, sometimes you have to be careful. We could even give them 24 just to be conservative if we included the top one. Yeah, I like that better. I like the idea of giving them 24. This is a little bit extra space. And then I guess the last one would be a little overrepresented potentially, but we'll just run it and see how it looks. Okay. These ones don't care because they're not avoiding each other. They're just avoiding the player town center. Town center for each player. So run it for a sec and let it think. Processing. And writing to file. So there's an animal skeleton there. So I think everything is equally represented, but the spacing is a little bit too large. These two are close together, but I think that's because they're originating from different types of terrain. It looks a little bit wonky, I think. But at least we get the occasional animal skeleton to show up, so that's good. So now it's just a matter of dialing back that spacing a bit. Maybe we space them 3s apart and see how that is. Let's look and see if we're satisfied with... Yeah, I'm satisfied with the dirt 4. I think that's fine. Maybe it could use a little bit more density. Yeah, it could use some more density. We'll adjust both. A lot of this random map scripting is just guess and check. Okay. So if I made these 3, that would go down to 18. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3. 3, 3, 3, and 3. 3, 3, 3, and 3. Okay, and then 18 and 18. So we dial in on what we want. It's much more complicated when you try to space them evenly like this, because we haven't adjusted the inner rings at all. We will update that. I think for the columns what we're going to do is we're going to do like some kind of antiquity placeholder or something like that, or antiquity eye candy. and it's going to be placed specifically in this outermost ring. And it's going to be those columns and the ruins and everything. It should look nice. Regardless of the biome, I think it's a nice homage to the origins of the map in Karga. Because in my mind, this is always going to be Karga. It's got a different name now, and it has different biomes that it supports, and it's better than Karga in every way. But, oh, Karga. You know, I just have memories of that map. Great map. The snow leopards, they're too close. Between the players again. I think I'm going to bias the players a little bit more toward each other so that this doesn't happen. I don't think I'm going to solve that problem. Let's look at the eye candies, though. Here are the grasses out here in the plains. I think that's good. Occasional animal skeleton, but it's nothing too crazy. We could even do, if we know what the, well, we could do second objects and stuff to get the skeletons going, or we could just have them as more grass, but we could have them be a different eye candy type, just to allow this grass to be more uniformly placed. Maybe that's what we do. We place the skeletons separately. I don't know. I think that might work a little bit better. Do these have a forest avoidance? Is that why they're avoiding that bush? I hope not. They better not have a forest avoidance. That would be a big annoyance. I mean, they're copied from the other ones, and the other ones don't have a forest avoidance. No. They do not have a forest distance. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to make all of these, actually, the same thing. Well, no, I don't want to make them all the same. Oh man, that's the hardest part sometimes, is deciding what you want to do. I think it's fine. We'll just leave it as is. This dirt 4 is also fine to be left as is. Although I think that the oasis does look better toward the center, so you get closer to this lake. We need to group these players a little bit more tightly. Where is that done? The minimum bias is 0.05. I think we make this the minimum bias 0.075. And then, or maybe 0.07. 0.85. There we go. And then we'll update that and we'll run that. Yeah. It's not too bad out here. It is a desert wasteland after all. Now we were gonna potentially have. Well, let's add them here. I think we're gonna just do these columns directly, the way that they were from Karga. So we have this open. Look at all of these objects here. We've got over 100 objects. Some of them aren't used, but many of them are. because that's our commitment to making a quality map. We do this for you, oh viewers. Okay, let's drag that down a little bit, and we'll go over here and we will open up the archive. See what we did for Karga v6. This is opening. Just give it a sec. All right, it's open. Doesn't take that long. And we've got these three right here. I'm essentially just going to, actually we've got these four. I'm going to copy their data out and over to our other spreadsheet. So just give me a sec here. And we're just going to take this and scaling type. Okay, let's copy that over to here. This is not going to have a scaling factor at all. We'll get rid of that. Their terrain is going to be RT4, ring terrain 4. So that's what it corresponds to. And they do have some avoidances. They have to avoid player starting. No, what is in 1? Yeah, okay. They have to avoid the player starting areas by 12, each of them. So we will paste that here. And we will change this from A5 to A9, I think. There we go. So A9 is correct. A9. This is going to be A9. And this is also going to be A9. Not K9, A9. And then each one was avoiding the one before it. So this isn't going to be 53, it's going to be 112. And this is not going to be 53, but this is going to be 112 through 113. And this is going to be 112 through 114. Okay. And so they are avoiding by 18 tiles, it looks like, each of them. Okay, and incidentally enough, what is 18 times 4, you guys? Just to see how that was done earlier, is 72. So it basically comes out to be the same distance type calculation that we have here. No scaling factor. Going to not override find closest or force placement. We hardly ever change those, but we got the ruins, the temple ruins, the Roman ruins, and the statue column, and these are here again. It doesn't make sense. The Romans didn't live in Mongolia, neither did the Greeks or the Egyptians, but it's a homage to the origins of this, so that's why I think it's important. Okay, what other objects do we have here from Karga v6 that we should consider adding? These are neutral objects that we're talking about. I guess we've probably got some camels hanging around, right? Where are the camels? DLC camel or something like that? Where are they? We gotta have camels kicking around in our desert wasteland. It's not a desert wasteland without camels. DLC vulture, palm tree, DLC rhino, nomad scout. I must be blind or something. Camel. Can't find them. All right, what about this one? Really? Oh, you know what? I think that we placed them as ibex or something, and we upgraded them. I bet that's what we did, or we placed them as, yeah, some sort of outlying animal. So we're gonna, okay, so we're going to do a couple of things here. So I think we're running out of neutral objects to place, which is good. And all it took was 113 rows. All right, so we are going to have, first things first, let's go get those camels. So we want the wild camel. Here we go, 884. So we're not going to define that here, actually. We're just going to say wild herd animal. And these are going to be animals that you cannot gather food from. That's the important thing. And we will copy a lot of the parameters from these ruins over here. We don't really need a lot of this stuff, but we'll copy it. So we got wild herd animal. And we're going to try to put as many down as possible. It's going to be on the base terrain. Their spacing, what did I use? Maybe I think I put them down as a predator or something, maybe a wolf. Yes, here they are. So they're going to be in groups of 3 or 4. Found them. So they're going to be in groups of 3 or 4. That explains why the wolves are there. I was like, why would I put wolves on Karga? It's in Africa. Africa doesn't have any wolves. Well, at least not that kind of wolf. They have wolves, but they're more like wild dogs than wolves. Okay, and the 10-min distance group placement between them is going to be 40. And they are going to avoid the town center by 40 tiles. And, oh, we have to put down the goats as well. Or herdables, I should say. Yes. So let us actually do that first. So we have them avoiding 5 by 12, but that's not the complete story. We have to have them avoid by 40. We have to remember to put these goats down. Very important. These are just wild herdables. Okay, and then we can say like lost herdable. And we're not going to define it here. Again, this will be defined in the script itself. And these little guys, they are going to be neutral Gaia convertible. They're going to have a lot in common with this in terms of numbering. Yeah, so that we want as many of them around as possible. Their forest distance is going to be 2. And the forest distance for these camels is going to be 12. And what did we put before them? Okay, that's fine. So it's going to be 2. And they are going to be 10-min distance group placement of 16. And that is not going to scale. And they are going to be 24 tiles? Looks like I have them as 24 tiles away from the town center. I might increase that to 32. So we'll copy that and we'll increase that to 32. So these are the lost herdables. Who knows what they are? And, oh, what's the object quantity? I think that, no, their object quantity is just 1. Okay, that's fine. And we're going to have these wild herd animals avoid these little herdables as well. And they are going to avoid by 8. Seems fair. Oh, we need to space these out too. We forgot, we got to put the spaces in the new version. Otherwise, GNU Octave will get confused. It's not as good at separating according to commas anymore. It likes to have a comma and a space. Comma and a space, just like that. Okay. Let's see. Let's put a space in here too. And we'll put spaces here and here. Same with this. All right. Wild herd animal, and then the last one is birds. The birds. We'll copy this and paste this here. And we want 4 birds. No, we want 4 groups of birds, and their grouping type doesn't really matter. The is going to be what is it? Cap or something like that? Inner cap. Yeah. Inner cap. Where are we? Yeah, inner cap. Okay. The birds do not need a. Oh man, do I really want to give these camels a force distance of 12? That's really laggy. Let's give them a force distance of 4. These birds do not need a force distance because they're being placed on the inner cap. They don't need any actor areas or anything like that. We'll give them a temp min distance group placement of 1. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter. They're just there for. They are just there for fun. The bird is the last thing that I like to add. Are we missing anything? I'm trying to think. Let's come over here. I don't think so. Use vulture for that. Yeah, all right, well, we won't know. We won't know until we press on. So, just give it another quick look. Oh, we were going to entertain the possibility of potentially putting skeletons here on the ridge, but I don't think so. We don't need it. We get it. Life's hard. There's a broken card up here. So that's fine. Okay. And let's run it. It'll think about it for a little while, and then it'll write the script. And it'll be a long, hard script. With all this stuff in here. All right, it's all set. Now, we need to define these things. Otherwise, they won't show up when we hit generate. So let's open the spreadsheet just to remind ourselves of what we called them. So these are going to be the same every time. Statue ruins, Roman ruins, and statue column and ruins. But lost herdable, wild herd animal, and bird, those are things that we need to define. So let's come over here. Okay. I think we want like outland object generation or something. Oasis object generation, ridge, tree. So I think we want outland. Yeah. We're going to set up our own thing down here somewhere. Here we go. So we got outland animal definition. Very good. So we have lost herdable. Lost herdable, constant wild herd animal, and we have constant bird. Okay, so the lost herdable for this particular biome probably should be sheep, right? I mean, the Genghis Khan campaign literally has a tribe where you go around and gather sheep for them, and sheep can stay warm in these sorts of environments, so it makes sense. It should 100% be sheep. So we're going to have our lost herdable be whatever sheep are. So we will come over here and we will look up sheep. Oh, the wild camel is 884, so we should put that up first. Actually, wild Bactrian camel is 1247. So I think that we want to use 1247 instead. So we will come over here and we will say that the wild herd animal is 1247. The lost herdable is whatever we get for sheep. Sheep are 594. What about sheep D, though? What is sheep D? It's not dead sheep, is it? Sheep building? Oh no, this is so confusing. All right, well, we'll just stick with 594. 594 for the sheep. And then we need the hawk. The hawk is 96. So I don't really think that there are too many other birds that we're interested in this location, in this area. Okay, so we got all that. We've saved it. And now when we hit generate, we should have some critters start showing up out here. Aha! The Bactrian camels, here they are. Excellent. But I don't see the sheep. All right, let's see. We've got some ruins, so that's good. Some broken columns. Evidence of a lost and ancient civilization was over here at one point. Yeah, that's fine. They're not as important as the snow leopards, actually. But the fact that the sheep don't show up bothers me. So we have wild herdable and lost herdable. Or wild herd animal and lost herdable. Lost herdable. Okay. Oh, the lost herdable having to be placed on RT4. That is a problem. Let's change it over to the base train. Yeah, we don't want the lost herdables being placed on RT4. That does not make any sense. Let's see if we can find some being placed on RT4. I don't think so because they have too large of a forest avoidance. So that's probably why that's not showing up. And let's just maybe change that within the script itself, assuming we can find it. Lost herdable. It's actor area number 132. Terrain to place on is just going to be BT. Aren't you glad that we don't have to do all those actor areas ourselves? That would be rather frustrating. Okay. And now they should show up. Yep, there they are. Just some sheep that are scattered around. The Bactrian camels are here. They have to respect those sheep. Alright. That looks good. So the next step is to do the player assigned objects. Should not be too much of a problem. We had boars in the Genghis Khan campaign, if I remember correctly. I think that boars can live up here. They can have pretty shaggy, musky fur. So, not too worried about that. Boars will stay warm during the wintertime. It's got these columns here. Yeah, it looks good. It really does. It really does look good. Should try to find a way of, I said this before, of maybe making sure that there's more passageways through here, because this kind of looks like it's going to lead into a passage, but then it isn't one. But there's still passageways in and out, so like it's not a huge deal. It'd be nice if it just looked more like this. You know, it almost might be an artifact of the mountains being too far apart. Not quite spawning the way that you want. Alright, well, let's move on to those player-assigned objects that we know that you guys all love. Very important player-assigned objects are. Extremely important. So important, in fact, that we will do them right now. So bring those down. And I think that we can open up actually open up the archive file again and see what was done last time and maybe copy and paste, or at least emulate it so we don't have to figure it out. So here are a lot of the player assigned objects. These villagers, it looks like they are avoiding the town center by 6, and they're being placed within 6. We got the Karga Scout, and it looks like it's giving it DLC Goat. I had named it Lost Herdable because maybe I want the herdable that's lost to be different from the herdable that players start with. So just one more thing, I guess. Okay. DLC Rhino, Ibex, Goats. We got more herdables here. Let's see what we can do about copying this. These lions were kind of like the wolves in the corner. They avoided the town centers by 32 in that case. They avoid by even more now. The map is slightly different. Okay, let's copy much of this. We will copy this and paste this in our other spreadsheet. Delete that. I think I'm finally going to just delete everything down here. Delete rows. Just get rid of that. I'm tired of looking at it. Finally got rid of it. Okay. So we put in these units. These are all player assigned units. We put them into the temp min distance group placement. Some of these have specific terrains that they are placed on. These ones must be placed on the base terrain. For Karga, the base terrain was desert. These golds are placed 6 away from any other tree, which I guess makes sense. I don't really want to give them forest distance. So I could give them actor area avoidance, but we'll leave that at 6 for now. These aren't really a ton of forest distances here. Okay. So now we're going to get into the actor area stuff. And we have to do these one at a time, because the references aren't going to update between spreadsheets. They'll update within the same spreadsheet, but they're not going to update between spreadsheets. So we'll copy this, and I'm going to put this over on my other screen, and we're going to start working this in. So object of place within that's okay, sorry. So villager base F, first one, go right here. Oh, that's right. Well, all right. I guess we copy this. Oh, all right. I understand. So we need to copy this, and we need to paste that there. Okay. Actually, that's really not... I don't know if that's worth the effort. We might as well just rewrite it at this point. Now, it's not going to be row 1 because... Well, because our town center isn't in row 1. Our town center is in row 5, so that we need to put a 9 there, because we're always 4 ahead. Okay. Scaling, we can get rid of this. So we need to be between 6 and 7 tiles. We're not going to override find closest, nor are we going to force placement. Okay, this next villager right here, we're going to copy this information. And we're going to have it avoid this other villager. And that avoidance is going to be 6 as well. So we don't need to do anything fancy with that. The scout, is going to be between 12 and 8. And he is going to avoid both of the villagers by 4. So we'll copy this information. So this is going to be 12. He has to be placed within. And he has to avoid by 8, comma 4, comma 4. And he avoids not only 119, but also K120. There we go. And DLC goat. Okay, so this is going to be owned, or not owned, because sometimes they can start as random. But we're going to say nearby herdable. That's what we're going to call it. And apparently it's going to have this is actually going to be immediately owned by the players. So it's going to have okay. It's going to have the same properties as the scout, except it is to be placed within 7, and it's avoiding the town center by 6. That's pretty much its only thing. Okay, the gold. This is player-owned gold, and it is between 1 and 9 tiles, and it has a force distance of 6, which I think we may have recorded that. Yes. So we'll copy these, paste that down there, and the gold is within 11 and outside of 9. Oh, and we should copy these and paste them down here as well. Okay, DLC Rhino. We're going to call this lurable. We will not call it a rhino because we don't want rhino. Rhinos don't live in Mongolia. Well, maybe woolly rhinos used to live in Mongolia, but they're extinct by the time the Age of Empires happens. Okay, and the rhinos have a temp min distance group placement of 8. That's already recorded. And I don't think they have any other avoidances to anything else, so we will copy this and paste this in here, and that's just fine. And these rhinos, oh no, they do have avoidances to other things. They have avoidances to whatever's in 70. Okay. They're avoiding the Kargas Scout and the DLC Goat, but they're not avoiding... No, they're avoiding Kargas Scout and the Gold. They're not avoiding the Goats. But they're avoiding the town center by 12 to 8. So we'll put 12 here, and then we will put 8 over here. Oops. Actually, we need 8, 8, and 4 for this. And then we need to update this so they are avoiding the Karga Scout, and they are also avoiding the Gold. Okay, good. So they're avoiding 73 and 75. Okay, DLC Ibex. We don't want to call it DLC Ibex. We want to call it deer of some kind. Do I care what kind of deer? No. We're just going to call it deer 1. Actually. Oh, interesting. These deer are actually maybe done improperly. Similar to these bush foods. We'll have to fix this. Yes, we will. So we'll fix that later. but we're just going to call these deer 1. Deer 1. Okay. And they're going to have the same properties as our ibex. They're going to be on base terrain. They're going to have a forest distance of 2. And as far as town center avoidance is concerned, we will copy these tiles and deer 1. Place in actor area of. So they need to be placed within 16 and 14. 16 and 14. And these deer are avoiding the gold and the rhinos by 8 and 4 respectively. So we need to have them avoid the gold and the rhino. It's the same distances. Okay, and then finally, DLC goat, and we will copy these parameters for the DLC goat, and we will paste that there. And these goats are placed within 20. We might tweak these numbers a little bit later. They have a temp mid-distance group placement of 8, which looks good. They're placed within 20, and they must avoid by 14, and 8, and 8, and 8. So 14, 8, 8, 8. And they avoid 75, 76, and 77 for the old spreadsheet, which is the gold, the rhinos, and the ibex. So gold, rhino, and then finally, I guess for us it's deer. We're generally calling them deer. Okay, good. So that is fixed. We'll close the legacy spreadsheet. We don't need it anymore. I hope we don't need it anymore anyway. We might use it for the neutral objects generation. And all right, let's come up here and we'll fix our deer problem. We appreciate the density of the deer that we have. They're avoiding these, and we also have to fix the same bush problem. They're avoiding, okay, they're avoiding the player start areas by 32, so that doesn't count. So we have 6 of these. Oh, you know what? Never mind. They're not wrong because they're placed on different terrain types. Ah, okay. Okay. Well, then wait a second. Why don't we see better representation? Like, it seems like we just see ibex when we look at it. Is that because everything is defined for ibex? Where is deer 1? No, deer 1 is regular deer, so maybe I'm just not paying attention. Maybe my attention to detail is lacking dearly. Okay, so I see ibex. I see. Okay, no, never mind. We got both. We got ibex here. We even have a sheep standing next to the snow leopard, and he doesn't even care. Yeah, we've got deer, we've got ibex, so it's all good. It was just an illusion of mine. Everything is right as rain, so we did that right. Let's check our lurable, nearby herdable. We got lost herdable. Okay, let's run this. We will let it crunch all those relationships. I'm glad I don't have to do that myself. Alright, it's all set. Moment of panic. Ah, shoot. We need to set definitions, don't we? Holy birds. We have a lot of birds here. Yeah, we need to go and set definitions, otherwise we're not going to have proper spawns. Okay. That's okay. This is fine. So we'll come up here to, oops, not this one, but this other one. Player assigned units definitions. And we'll have let's see, we need Carga Scout. Okay, so that's going to be constant. And the Carga Scout, be cool if it were some kind of controllable camel. Bactrian camel, maybe. 1237. So you could sort of blend in with your scout there. Actually, really, this one should be low resources. And it should just be regular scout. But we'll leave it as the Bactrian camel for now. So you get a Bactrian camel. Potentially for Nomad, but I'd have to check, because you have to delete your... Yeah, I don't know. I have to think about it. But we'll put a number in there for now to make sure that something's spawning properly. But I think we're just going to put the scout in there. We'll do 1755, actually. That'll be pretty funny. We'll give everybody a camel scout, starting out with. Everybody gets one. Even the mesosivs. It's more consistent. All right. Nearby herdable. And that is also going to be sheep, 594. And wait a second. We had DLC goat in here. What are we doing? Otherwise, I think we're... Oh, lurable, right. Lurable. And let's figure out what the boars are. Okay, it's 48. Boar is 48. So we don't want the nearby herdable to be... yeah, we don't want... We accidentally put DLC goat in here, but we want nearby herdable again. So we don't want to hard code the goats to show up. So we'll save that and we'll run that later. But in the meantime, let's just see how this turned out. Yeah, see how we have goats here? We hit generate on the map. It seems to be taking its time. I'm wondering if that could be because we got all these trees, actor areas that stuff is referencing. Okay, so we got our 2 boars, we got our sheep, we have the goats still out here, we got a camel scout for yellow, camel scout for purple, camel scout for orange. Oh, okay, here they are. They just blend in with the dirt terrain so well. was worried there for a moment. People didn't get their stuff. What else do we need? Oh, we need straggler trees. Okay. Well, we can do that. It's not a problem. Very awkward not having straggler trees. So we'll make sure that we get that put in. I'm trying to think if we want anything else. Yeah, the deer look fine. This player's assigned deer, where are they? Did this player not get deer? It might be a little bit funky. See, the deer have to spawn on the base terrain. So it could be that this player's deer are too far away. There's not a legal location for the deer to spawn out here. I find that difficult to believe, given how much terrain is available. We're not using min distance group placement, so like they should be free game. Unless the deer, I bet the deer are avoiding the sheep by a certain distance, and they're avoiding the trees by a certain distance. And maybe that's causing the deer to fail to spawn. So maybe we should put the deer before the sheep. It seems like the sheep can spawn anywhere. These critters here. Hey, Sizu, how's it going? Welcome. I'm sorry, I just saw your message. I'm putting the finishing touches on the non-nomad version of Shimmerpool, and this is just one biome. It'll have many biomes. Ah, I see you're just passing by. Wanted to say hello. Well, thanks for stopping in and saying hello, Sizu. Am I going to see you signed up for Alchemy League, Sizu? Yeah, I think I'm going to put these, well, no, the deer are before the nearby herdable. Player assigned the Gaia convertible. Well, we'll mess around a little bit more, I think. They got to be within 16, so it's kind of a narrow window. Maybe we open that up to 18 for these deer. Ah, I see. I understand. If you don't have time for tournaments, then that's totally understandable. You're just running by yourself. I see. Okay, so we'll bump that up to 18. And what else do we have to do? Oh, I think I want to get rid of these force distances here. And I want to put in actor areas, these base masks of 4, these predators, force distance of 2. So I'm essentially going to go through and see if I can improve the performance. You know, it really is going to be quite annoying. These bushes are all avoiding trees by 3. These are on RT2, 3, and 4 respectively. And I know which trees they are. I have the trees up here, but it's just like, ugh, is it worth it? To give those trees a specific actor area and then tell them to avoid those trees specifically. These ones are on Oasis Forest, but they spawn a certain distance out from the ring. Nah. Nah, if anybody complains, we could look at it, but I just don't. I just don't want to. Maybe we'll decrease forest avoidances slightly. In general. But I really don't want to decrease them very much. 3, 3, 3. This gold, we're going to decrease that to 3. The rest of these are going to be 2. Just to eke a little bit more performance out of it. And then stragglers. We have to have straggler trees here. And that is going to be the same as our outland. Our outland straggler, wherever that is, and that's going to be object number 123. I think that will wrap up our player assigned objects. I am going to bring up Karga one more time just because I forgot to check the data on those player objects. And let's see here. Yeah, so in this one I have palm tree. And so we're going to call this, what was it? Outland straggler, I think. If I remember correctly. Broken cart. Outland straggler. Yes, there we are. We placed it as a second object for whatever reason. Okay, well, that doesn't really matter. And we're going to copy a lot of this. And we'll copy through all of this. Paste that there. 10-min distance screw placement of 4. And then the big thing is that I'm going to copy some of these parameters for villagers. They are placed, they have a 10-min distance screw placement of 4. And they are placed within 6, and they avoid by 3 the town center. So they have to be 6, and they have to avoid by 3. Okay. How many of these did we order? We ordered 5. Okay. So, let's perform the update. We've reduced the forest avoidance, but without going in there and setting up a bunch of extra act areas, I mean, theoretically it would be faster to get rid of the forest distance entirely, but we're just going to reduce it because I think that it's kind of my fault that the map takes so long to load. So this is going to crunch. It's just going to take a second here. Hey Benji, welcome. This stuff looks like magic, the Matrix. It doesn't have to be this complicated. I eventually started building on some tools that I was working on to make it simpler. And let's hit generate here, and we'll just make sure that we get the stragglers in. Figure out what we want to do with the camel scout a little bit better. If we really want to give everybody a camel scout, or if we want to do something different. Oh, I think I'm going to give larger spacings between these hawks as well. I think this is an excessive number of hawks. Might be able to get away with fewer hawk. Okay, so there's some sheep here, camel scout there. Still no outland straggler. Why? How could there be no outland straggler? Let me check the spreadsheet. Yeah, we're just about done here, Benji. Just wrapping up the objects generation for Shimmerpool. I'm going to do a little bit of final tweaking too, but it's outland straggler. So it should be defined. We have outland straggler here. I'm wondering if it's somehow... What trade negatives are there in the map? Asks Buggy. I haven't programmed any in. For the purpose of making the map more intuitive, there will be no trade nerfs. But if the map is played with more than 2 teams, then trade carts and trade cogs will be disabled. That's the route that we're going to go. Do Hindustanis get compensation? There is no need to compensate the Hindustanis. They are already quite powerful. Trade nerfs are bad? Buggy, trade nerfs are amazing. But it doesn't stop. The problem with the trade nerfs is not that they are bad, but that they do not achieve the desired cause. So therefore, you have the controversy for no reason. People get mad when you mess with their trade. And if you could say that you solved the problem by doing that, then it would be worth it. But I can't even say that I've solved the trade problem when people are still building these really, really snail-paced trade carts that yield half the amount of gold. So we have to solve it maybe a different way. Oh, do they get compensation for everyone having the scout? No, he is just here as a placeholder. I haven't made a final decision about what scout unit to use. But since players have a starting town center, I decided that I want them to have some kind of starting scout. But the reason that I don't give them them all just scout is because the scout has to be defined here. Because if I don't define things in a big list like this, then I have to go in and have conditionals inside of the object generation, which I'm not willing to do. So there's the desert biome, temperate biome, African biome, jungle biome, Asian biome, and Mediterranean biome. And then each one is going to have 5 seasons. Some of them, like the jungle biome, all 5 seasons are going to look the same. So it's not necessarily going to be like 30 different biomes, but it's going to be a lot. Have a lot of nice variety. There is no trade problem. You need to learn to make trade. That's the problem with trade, is that I need to learn how to make it. All right, so we have the outland straggler defined here. It's 1054, but we've also said that 1054, I don't know. I don't know. Outland straggler, what? I did do it as a second object earlier. Let me actually just find all cases of outland straggler. So there should be 3 cases of it. The first is where it's defined. The second is where it works in the forest. And then the third is where we're giving players this these straggler trees. When you hit imp, you make trade carts. Yeah. I've heard that one. You start making trade as soon as you reach Imperial Age. That is for team games. But anyway, yeah, we talked about it. Our guild internally debated it, and we decided that the drama of changing the rules about trade wasn't worth the lack of a solution that it provided in any other application anyway. So we'll put it back to the way that it was, but there will be a rule that if you have more than 2 teams, nobody can make trade. Because I don't want Smokey and Emu Warrior secretly trading in the background and getting infinite resources, or like building up gold from infinite generations for 3 hours while everybody else is fighting. And then I think it'll end games much more quickly because players will be incentivized to kill other players to get their gold. So we're going to try that instead. FFA should ban trade. Well, actually, Juicy45 did have some kind of FFA one-day tournament where they did the same thing. But in their case, their maps were not general purpose maps, and our maps are general purpose maps. So maps for the Alchemy League have this requirement that, hey, if you submit your map for use in our 1v1 league, then there is a chance that we're going to take that map that you've uploaded to our repository and play community games on it. So they have requirements that make sure that people have to do that. So this Outland Straggler is not spawning, and we need to figure out why. Let's see. Needs to be placed within 6, and it needs to avoid the town center by 3. And it needs to have 5 groups. All right, well, we're just going to try, because we've done some funky things with trees, we're just going to try putting this as a second object and seeing if that works better. So we'll save that in its current configuration, but actually we'll just modify the script so we don't have to rerun it. Outland Straggler, and this is going to be create object on grid, and we'll see if that terrain bypass, because this is basically the reason you do this is to bypass terrain restrictions. We'll see if that solves the problem. Yes, it does. So here are the straggler trees that you can chop or you can build farms over. These other trees out here are technically on forest terrain, so they cannot be built over until all of the wood, their stored wood, is removed. So yeah, it was something funky that we were doing with changing the suitable terrains to place this object on. But we bypassed it using second object. Okay, we'll give the hawks a little bit more spacing, but I don't really think that we're going to hawks. Oh, right, the hawks are down here. They are called birds, and they are going to have temp min distance group placement of 2. So they avoid all other birds by 2 tiles. And let's come back here and take a look at the scout again. And what happens if we put 448 in here? Does everybody get a scout cavalry? Even a meso civ? That is my question. So, let's come up here. That's what I'm curious about. So, scroll down. Cargo scout. What did I say? 448. And yes. All right, now let's quit the main menu. We'll run a very quick update on it. It's not going to change much. It's going to space the birds out a little better, I guess. More spacey birds. Okay, come over here to multiplayer. Over here to, actually no, we can do this in single player. Single player is safer. We don't have to worry about some rando joining, stealing our map and all of our secrets. Oh, one more thing I want to check is I want to see the file size that we ended up with. Assuming this is all done. Yeah, which it is. Shimmerpool is at 843 kilobytes. So that's actually not that bad. We were able to lean that up a bunch, which is good. I mean, the more kilobytes that we have to work with, the more options we can program in, but the game is just incompetent when it comes to large files. It just can't handle it. Okay, so game mode is random map, data mod, location. We're going to pick, come on, here we go. Map style, this is what we want. And we want Shimmerpool. Yeah, sure, take your time, game. Shimmerpool, there we go. Big map. All right, and then we're going to be the Aztecs, and we're going to see if we get the Eagle Scout. So do we get the Eagle Scout here? Yes, we do. Okay, excellent. Very good. We get all the standard starting resources. So technically the map is in a playable state right now. Very good. We have one bird. Oh no, we have more birds than that. All right, they're flying out. That's good. These were the hawks. We have our straggler trees. We got our boars. 1, 2. We have our sheep. There's some back drain camels kicking around. So for the nomad configuration for low resources, basically what happens is, oh yeah, I should probably go do that. Yeah, I gotta, yes. So essentially, there's an option in there is an option to select low resources in lobby, and it doesn't actually change like the number of gold piles or anything like that that you have here. Like if you select it, it's not going to be like, oh, this suddenly has only 100. What the resource drop-down menu does is it changes the amount of resources that you have up here. But low resources is equivalent to doing nothing at all, just letting those resources be standard. So scripters have found clever ways of using low resources to configure other options. In our case, low resources will trigger a nomad start. So we can essentially come over to our spreadsheet, and let me just launch it real quick, and we can duplicate this tab wherever it is. Here it is. So we duplicate this tab, move our copy sheet. We're going to move it to the end position, and we're going to call it low resources. And then what our program will do is it will read each tab in the spreadsheet, and it'll establish this relationship of objects for that tab. So it'll say if low resources do this, generate these objects. Otherwise, generate these objects. So for that, for low resources, we'll be getting rid of like these player assigned resources, and we'll be buffing up all of these neutral resources that we have. maybe by adding more food to them, maybe by decreasing the spacing in between them, whatever. Um, and then we'll just add like a simple command where we maybe put some villagers in the corner or something. And that is our nomad start. So it basically allows us to configure a nomad start. So that's what low resources does. I have to go now, guys. It's been fun. We've made excellent progress. We basically have this map working now for the standard start condition. And so all we would have to do is go in and change the definitions in order to get a different biome, a different look on our biome. And this is really nice. This map is working better than it ever has been. We've improved a lot of the features on it, so it wasn't just a straight copy and paste, even though it seemed to take a very long time. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.